very many practices in, and there's been no Trent. So Jaylen's gotten all the work, and he's always, Jaylen has a place in the NFL because he is a good pass blocker. He's competed well in pass blocking this year with all the guys they have over there rushing. Run game's always something he's challenged with. Not that he doesn't like to run block or can. It's just how he's made up, his body type. He's not as explosive, quick, or gets under people as well. But the guy's he's always done a good job. I've always been proud of him, and yet he's gotten even better. He's a low burn guy, and sometimes you think, is he really getting it? But then all of a sudden you realize you see steady improvement in certain areas, and I've seen that continue.
Is that a challenge for both of your starting tackles right now, McKivitz, and more the run blocking aspect?
No, Colton's a good run blocker. Colton's a better run blocker. Colton is I won't put him quite in McGlinchey's category as a run blocker. Mike was the elite run blocker. Colton's not quite at that level, although he's getting there. He's really worked hard. Colton takes so much pride in everything he does. He gets better at everything.
Who's the swing tackle if Jaylen's the starting left tackle? If he had a game tonight?
Well, it's still up in the air. I mean, Hubbard and Parker are the two guys competing for it. So they're both working hard. We'll find out when we find out.
When Feliciano's healthy, what does he add? What does he bring to this offensive line?
John brings. It's funny when John started playing more in the huddle. The guys would come over and say, the guys didn't know John. It was our first year with us. They're like, man, this guy's a dog out there. This guy competes. This guy is tough. This guy is good in the huddle. He's encouraging. He gets fired up. I mean, he's out there to win the game, and plays really hard. So he adds that level. He adds a level of toughness. From the line perspective, it's flexibility. I mean, that's the thing that, when we lost him on the field goal, 1 week last year, it's like, I don't remember the game since, I don't remember. All of a sudden, we lost a guy that plays 3 spots on the inside. So he has flexibility, leadership, toughness, all the things that John Feliciano is. A guy that, I remember when he came out of college, we had a local pro day, and I was there working him out, and everybody said, this guy's not going to make it. And 10 years later, he's still going. And that kind of is a testament to the kind of guy he is.
McCaffrey, Offensive Player of the Year, he is the top of his position. So what do you look for? What do you work on with him to make him even better in the coming year?
Yeah, I mean, he came to me. He said, give me so many days and I'll stop missing some cuts. He misses cuts, and he sometimes isn't as sharp. Like we've said, I think I mentioned it with all these players. You have to keep practicing, and football's a hard game to keep practicing because there's the hitting. So you have to find a line between getting ready and not beating yourself up. There's always stuff to work on. We add something to the offense. The defense presents something different. I mean, that's what I see from Christian is that, he's going to be, he wants to be perfect. So he's never satisfied, and he's always hard on himself. And so he will just continue to work hard at everything he does, and he'll make mistakes, and he'll beat himself up and then do the best he can to fix it.
Battle there with trying to not let him get too down on when he does make mistakes.
Yeah, his is not that, because I've always said I've come around to not like coaching perfectionists because it's an imperfect game, and I'm like, and you go in the tank because you're not perfect. Yeah, go get in line. None of us are. Coaches play, none of us. Christian is more, he's hard on himself, but he's really, really good. So when those hard plays come, there's not many of them. He probably overdoes it, but it doesn't put him in a downward spiral. It actually motivates him. Other guys, I'm not going to name names. I'm like, when they're reading a college report and they say, this guy's a perfectionist, and I'm like, I almost want to cross him off my list. In the offensive line world.
John Feliciano, do you envision a scenario like a couple years ago where you're platooning him and one of the younger guys in at right guard throughout this?
It's not ideal. I've said I do it. I've done it. I've done a lot, and I've done it more with the idea like the old guy's in there, and then the young guy, you put him in for a series. And as the old guy goes through the season, he may start to descend because he is an aging veteran player. And as he descends, you're hoping that experience that you're giving that young guy in spurts help him get better. We did that with Spencer and Dan. We reversed it. I think Spencer started and Dan Brunskill gave him a reps, but you would hope that the young player would get better through the course. Now, if they don't, the old guy takes over. You try not to do it. You try to make a decision and say, hey, whoever that starting right guard is or whatever it is, whatever the situation, that guy's going to be our starter. And you try to get that way. But if you can't get it, or if 2 guys are equal talent, it doesn't hurt to platoon them. I know the guys don't like it because I think they feel like they get out of rhythm. But
I was going to say, do you think that Spencer Burford is still in the mix for week 1, given his injury? Will he have enough?
We'll see when he get there. I mean, I'm not going to, go there and try to figure out what it looks like at that point. We don't know who will be up. You know, you're saying if everybody stays healthy and Spencer comes back, odds are the guys have been there, but I'm not going to rule Spencer out. You just don't know how it plays out. And you know, there is something to Monday Night Football, right? Is Monday, right? Probably Monday night, yeah. And bright lights and Aaron Rodgers, you know, the whole thing. And if you're a young player, you might, you know, you never know, right? It's just a tough thing. So.
Rather than ask you if Trent Williams will be available week 1, have you kept in touch with them at all?
I haven't heard from Trent recently, no. But I heard from him in the offseason a little bit, and then the offseason was fairly normal until it got time to this thing started doing whatever it's doing, and I haven't heard from him.
Like with his game film, obviously he's on such a different level than a lot of tackles. Is there still teachable stuff that he does because he is such a different caliber tackle that guys can pick up on and try to replicate?
You mean, I'm sorry.
When you're just showing game film of what Trent's been.
Oh no. There's stuff out there. I'm sorry. There's stuff both ways, pros and cons. I mean, I go through the cut-ups now, and Trent's not there, but you know, hey, if our left tackle would have done this here, we would have been better. Look how this is a really good job by Trent. It's like every other player. Trent just has some more elite plays than other guys, and as the years have gone on, maybe those have been a little less. Still a very consistent performer and a great player, obviously one of the best in this generation. But he definitely was a, you know, there's definitely stuff to point out, pro and con.
On this team, the center is in charge of setting the protections at the line of scrimmage. On other teams, it seems like the quarterback has that responsibility. Some other teams. Why do you like to give that responsibility to the center?
Well, the two things that we've eliminated, and this has always been a discussion in different systems. Do you put the quarterback to point the mic, or let the center point the mic? It's always been age old. The teams that wanted the quarterback to do it, or I don't know what they did because I was with Peyton, so he did everything. But the idea is to let the quarterback just worry about playing quarterback, and you know, he'll understand the protection, he'll understand his hots, he'll do things like that. But to re-mic and do things like that, those teams are very, very, you know, they're good at it, but it does take time away from other things. Doesn't mean they won't be great quarterbacks. Tom Brady did it, all those guys. So, but our system, I think one of the reasons that I've 100% believe it has to be the center is the moving pieces. One of the things the way we set our protections up, and Kyle did a great job of this, and we were doing it back in Washington, and it kind of came that way from Houston. We move all the time, and it started on third downs, a little bit on first and second, and it's just exploded over the last 15 years. And all that movement, think of doing all that double movement, triple movements, and making a mic point. A quarterback, you can't do all that. I mean, you can make one, and then the picture changes. I made the comment the other day. Jake Brendel had X number. I'm not going to go into how many, but X number of mental errors, which is a lot higher, you know, than I'm used to. And then I went back and looked at Alex Mack. Then I called a couple other guys that coach in the system, and you realize they're going to have more because you just can't, you know. And imagine the quarterback can't do it. There's too much going on, the wristband, everything else. Imagine I'm going to do it. I mean, the center gets down and follow me. He's like 2.5, 3 feet off the ground, and we've got 3 guys in motion, and he's crooking his neck out like a turtle trying to see where the heck are these guys all lined up. Not an excuse, but they end up having a lot more mental errors because of that. It's easy now. You know, I'm stagnant. I'll tell you a story. Peyton, they were playing. I wasn't there for this one, but they played the Jets in the playoffs. It was Rex Ryan. I think it was a championship game. I don't remember which one it was. But anyway, Rex was so, you know, blitzed everywhere. He goes, look, stop. I want to line up in one formation the whole game. And I want to line up in two by whatever he said it was, or the rest of the second half. He goes, I'll be able to see what they're doing, and I'll be able to get us in the right play. But that's why. So then every step you go beyond the one formation puts it more and more on the quarterback. And this system and what we do, it's really not feasible to make a quarterback point.
Experienced tight ends in Ross Dwelle and Charlie Warner. How are you seeing in these young tight ends kind of get accustomed to the blocking scheme? They've
been good, man. These guys, I was talking the other day. I mean, everybody's talking about how Nine's doing so well. The guy, and then and the 82. All these guys all of them are doing a good job, and they stand out all the time. I'm looking up, like, yeah, that guy's doing a good job. This guy did a good job on that play, and they're doing a really good job. The fact that George Kittle embraces the run game and blocking, you do it here or you're not here, and that's been the one thing that I really love about. Kyle demands it. The tight end coaches have it. That's the position, and we have a guy that's lead dog that does it. So I think, you know, Charlie was a great player here, and we'll miss Charlie. And these guys have a lot of work to do to catch up to Charlie, but I think there's signs that we'll get there.
Chris, you have about 7 different guys who can play center in this camp. Why is Brendel at the top of that depth chart? Is he the best run blocker, pass blocker, caller?
He's one of the. I'm
Is he
sorry.
the best front four? Is there any area where the other guys are better or approach him?
I made a comment the other day to the guys. I said, Jake. I was coaching Jake, and he did a great job on a play. And I said, I said, guys, take note of this. I've known Jake Brendel since 2000 something. I've known him for a while. And I said, he does everything I ask him to do, and that's why he's been here for 3 years, right? He does everything we ask him to do, and he does it well. He has really good measurables. If you held up his card, which have all the times and everything on it, right? You're like, how is this guy not is one of the top guys being drafted? And yet he was an undrafted free agent. One of the major indicators for center is arm length. He's had to overcome his arm length a little bit, which because he was below the line. And that was it's a huge one for offensive centers. That if you're below that line, most of those guys don't make it. He just seemed like I had a couple, anyway. So whatever those little limitations are, he's learned how to overcome them. He struggled on the second level when I first got back with him here. And he's fixed that. He's done an excellent job on the second level. We addressed how because think about it, you go in to block a guy and all of a sudden Fred sticks out his long arm and you're like a little brother trying to get to the big brother, right? He holds you off and I can't get to him. That's what short arms do for you. Well, then Jake's figured out how to overcome that. He's very good in the run game, but his pass game's been really good. Teams now are putting you in a lot of 5-0 situations, meaning that they try to somehow, some way cover up all 5 guys. It used to be pressures, and now it's not so much that they're pressuring one side, dropping, they're doing different things, but they get you in 5 guys blocking 5 guys. And now Jake and Joe Graves, one of my guys who works with me, he said, you really go through Jake probably is one of the better 5-0 centers that he holds up pretty good. So he's an athletic guy like that. He can hold up in 5-0. He's got to, again, deal with, he's not the biggest guy. So when they put their head here and try to drive him back, it is a challenge for him. So, but he's learned to do it. And that's what I really love about him. We we troubleshoot it, and then he goes out and he's able to do it. So that's why I would say the level of success, everybody has limitations. How do you overcome those limitations? Jake's done a great job of it.
Dominic Pooney handled his first training camp.
Awesome. As good as one of the better rookies. I'm not ready to crown him yet as far as one of the better rookies, but he is one of the better rookies. And the day we drafted him, or right after we drafted him, the video guys said that he called right away when he got his iPad. They sent him out as soon as we get the kid signed, or whenever, I don't remember. But they sent it out to him. He said, where do I get all of Coach's teaching meetings? We record everything. And he wanted every single meeting. By the time he showed up for rookie minicamp, which I think was 2 weeks after the draft, he'd watched all of my install meetings from phase 1, phase 2, and everything we'd done to that point. He'd watched them all. And he answers every question right. He is a very, very intelligent kid. Doesn't say a word. Very, very smart. Very tough, strong. And he's not. He doesn't sway. He just steady Eddie. But he works extremely hard and he's very diligent. And that's. I don't think I've had an offensive lineman. I know I couldn't sit through all those meetings. Okay, he grabbed them and ate them up. So good for him. Thank you, guys.